Hi, I'm Audrey Catherine. I'm looking to spread awareness about Duchenne Muscular Dystrophy because right now, currently, there are insurance companies committing crimes against young boys with Duchenne Muscular Dystrophy. They're denying them a therapy that could help them. I was a caregiver to my late husband, Peter, who had Duchenne Muscular Dystrophy. I was his caregiver for 17 years. I witnessed firsthand how this disease progresses and challenges that those with this condition face every day. Duchenne muscular dystrophy is a progressive muscle wasting disease that has taken lives as early as the teen years. This disease is carried on the X chromosome, and it causes a lack of dystrophin production that gives muscles their strength. This disease can affect males and females, but is more common and more severe in males because they only possess one X chromosome. Sometimes the mother can be a carrier, or as my late husband's case, it could be a de novo or a new mutation. Duchenne muscular dystrophy starts to show itself in young boys. In my husband's case, he was diagnosed at 8 years old. Symptoms include toe walking and frequent falls. Duchenne gradually causes the victim to decline slowly and eventually become wheelchair dependent. In my late husband's case, that was at 18. The progression of the disease eventually affects the ability to breathe due to diaphragm weakness. It can also cause cardiomyopathy. The victim usually succumbs to one or both of these complications. When it begins to affect the diaphragm, the patient will require assistive breathing devices. In my late husband's case, he used a non-invasive breathing device. He used a non-invasive breathing device called a Trilogy machine. Some individuals with Duchenne need invasive breathing assistance 24/7. This usually occurs if they survive into their 20s and 30s. When I met my husband, I was 22 and he was 27. He was wheelchair dependent and he used an electric chair. He didn't need his breathing assistance at that time. He also had a little bit more arm strength and was able to transfer with some help using his trunk muscles. Through the years, the transfers grew more difficult, and eventually he needed a lift to transfer. He was completely immobile except for slight hand movement. He was like a paralytic, but he was able to feel. He had trouble riding on buses and public transportation because he would get tossed around in his chair, and that caused him lots of pain. He was extremely fragile. He wasn't able to move, and he was at the mercy of bugs, and he would get bit, and I would try to get the bugs away from him, and it was really, really difficult for him. He had special hand controls that he drove with for a period, but as he declined, he could no longer use them. His family would have to drive us in his van during the last times of his life, and most of our outings were hospital and doctor visits. He ended up with kidney stone issues. I feel that if he wasn't wheelchair bound and unable to void himself when needed, that he wouldn't have had such a problem with them. He was reliant on his Trilogy machine. He was in and out of the hospital with kidney stone complications in his 40s. He ended up contracting C. difficile in the hospital. His breathing was greatly impaired from that. He had to use a breathing mask that the hospital had that was more powerful than his Trilogy machine. He succumbed to complications from C. diff at 46 on August 29, 2022. If the Duchenne hadn't impacted his breathing and overall health, he may have been able to fight the C. diff. Currently, the only treatment for Duchenne is corticosteroid therapy, which helps prolong breathing and muscle function, but it is not a cure. Steroid treatment also causes complications such as weight gain, Cushing's syndrome, stunted growth, osteoporosis, and behavioral issues. Peter endured these difficulties as well. The entire purpose of why I am sharing this experience is to raise awareness about Duchenne and to inform people that there are insurance companies denying coverage for potentially life-saving gene therapies that could free young boys from this fate that Peter endured. One such company is called Cigna. This is a crime against humanity, withholding the right of a young child to have a future free of suffering. There is specific criteria to be eligible for gene therapies. The participants need to be a certain age, because the younger the participant, the more they're able to move and they can tell how the therapy is working. So they have to be a certain age and they have to have the ability to walk. When the insurance denies these children, they could age out and their ability to walk could decline. Most certainly will. Insurance companies have no right to deny a child an opportunity to live a better quality of life. This is a crime against humanity. Someone at an insurance company that does not even know the child just makes this choice to avoid cost. The child suffers the cost with their life. The insurance company only cares about cutting corners and saving money, denying a life-saving opportunity to a child. Children with Duchenne and other life-threatening conditions do not deserve to be treated this way. And insurance also denies this with equipment that those with Duchenne depend on. We've dealt with a lot of that and lots of waiting while they decline and need this equipment as soon as possible. They try to deny medical equipment while the patient declines without it. Individuals need to call out the crimes of these insurance companies and end the suffering of those who already are enduring enough. So I hope this helps, and I hope more people come forward and make sure that this shouldn't be allowed and people should speak against it. So thank you for listening.